Recently, a question came to me from a former student who wanted to know if there was something that could happen that would make me stop believing in God. Now, that something could be a lot of things in my life. Would I still believe in God if I'd seen the atrocities of a world war? Would I still believe in God if someone in my family died? Would I still believe in God if this or that or the other thing happened? My answer is simply, I hope I would. As I've explained before, I don't believe in God because of some specific thing or reality that I have in my life. I don't believe in God because I'm married with 5 kids. I don't believe in God because I have a steady job and a house and a car. I don't believe in God because my health is reasonably good. I believe in God because I know Him. Because for 30 years, He has been the steady anchor that guides my life. Now, I know people who've lived through hard times, who have questioned the goodness of God when bad things have happened, and as a result have abandoned their faith. You probably know people like that too. But I know people for whom the opposite is also true. 10 years ago, I got a phone call from one of my dearest friends telling me about a diagnosis of a debilitating illness that he'd face for the rest of his life. Interestingly, this has been the gateway through which his faith and prayer life have grown tremendously over the past 10 years. St. Josephine Bakita was taken from her home in Sudan by slave traders in the late 19th century, and she suffered tremendously through those years. But once she was freed, she converted to Catholicism and joined a religious order. And Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived a Nazi concentration camp in World War II, witnessing and experiencing some of the most horrible things you could imagine. He wrote that those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. When I hear stories like those of these 3, I hope that I would be able to imitate their faith and endurance if I was to live the same experiences. This is why it's so important for us to read and consider the lives of the saints, because we can find echoes of their life experiences in our own. And hopefully we can learn to imitate their faith, hope, and love no matter what happens to us. That said, the problem with this sort of a what if question is that their stories are not our stories, not my story. I've lived my own struggles, but I've never faced a difficult diagnosis, and I certainly haven't lived the experiences of Josephine Bakita or Viktor Frankl. So it's hard for me to say what I would do in someone else's circumstances because this isn't my life. And here I want to lean on the wisdom of 2 of my favorite authors. In J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, Frodo Baggins is a hobbit who is asked to do something that is incredibly difficult. And he often feels overwhelmed by all the things that are happening to him.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
This idea of having to decide what to do with the times that are given to us are echoed in the scene of C.S. Lewis's book, Prince Caspian. At a certain point, Lucy has failed to do what Aslan the lion asked her to do, a failure that has made things much, much harder for her and her siblings. Feeling discouraged, Lucy asks Aslan what would have happened if she'd just done the right thing in the first place. Aslan answers her, "To know what would have happened, child? No. Nobody is ever told that. But anyone can find out what will happen. If you go back to the others now and wake them up and tell them that you have seen me again and that they must all get up at once and follow me. What will happen? There is only one way of finding out." For you and for me, the important question isn't, would I believe in God if someone else's story were mine? It's what am I to do with my own story, my own life today? How do I respond to the situations and to the grace that God places in my life? How is God calling me through these circumstances to get up and to follow Him? How do I use the time given to me right now? There's one other thing worth saying here. If you're living a hard moment of your own, one of the great lessons that we take from the incarnation, that in Jesus, God became one of us, is that God understands what it is to feel lost, overwhelmed, alone, and in pain. Jesus lived all of these things during His earthly life. In that spirit, I'll leave the last word here to the author of the letter to the Hebrews, who wrote, "We do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who in every respect has been tested as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore approach the throne of grace with boldness, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need.